Hello and welcome. This is Vickie Remoe. If you can hear me, drop a hello in the comments. I'm using my new fancy microphone, and I just want to make sure that I'm not talking to myself while I'm here. Hello, Iman and Aminata and Jinfin, I think. Thank you so much for joining us, Aruna and Daphne, loud and clear. I love it. Thank you so much. So I know that the mic wasn't a waste of time. Thank you so much for joining us on our monthly Salone Diaspora property webinar. This is the time of the month where we get together to share insights, information, and good tips about making sure that those of you who are in the diaspora who are dreaming of home ownership can have your dream realized with as little palava and ease and problem as possible. So my name is Vickie Remoe, and I am a communication strategist, and I work between Sierra Leone, Ghana, and the DMV. And my company, VRNC Marketing, handles marketing and communications for Max. And the reason why you're here today is because we've got some good news for you, but you'll have to stay tuned throughout the entire webinar to learn what the good news is. What is Max, or who's Max? So Max is an American company that builds and finances homes in West Africa. Over the last 10 years, they've built over 100 homes in Guinea. They recently went into Sierra Leone to start a new development called Newton Springs that I'll talk to you about later. And they're also in Ghana in Apollonia City, which is a really big development estate promising all the kind of luxury that you'd expect in Ghana's real estate market. But first, I would like for you to meet one of our favorite customers, Mr. Khalil, who is a Sierra Leonean American man who lives in the great state of Atlanta, Georgia. Well, the great city of Atlanta and the great state of Georgia. And here's what he had to say about his experience with Max.
It's a great company. They built this place 10 months exactly. They gave me the keys. They even late for 1 week, they pay. My name is Khalil S. Kabo. I was born in Sierra Leone, and I'm a Sierra Leonean, in a small village called Matoya, and I've been out of this country for 45 years. I just started coming here 2 years ago. In America, I'm a trainer. I train nurses. I help elderlies. I have a medical training center. And I have a home care. I take care of human beings. So one day I came from work. My friend came to visit here in Sierra Leone, Freetown. He called me, he said, I found a company that want to build houses in Sierra Leone, especially Waterloo. Why don't you go and look at it? I said, no, I don't want to do nothing like that in Sierra Leone. After I found out that Max are building houses, he said, oh yeah, they have properties in Guinea. I said, give me the picture, how they do it. So he gave me one person who has a house there that lives in Atlanta, Georgia. I talked to the person. He said, if you don't decide to live, the houses are not that big like you people here. Like my house in Atlanta, no. He said, but they're satisfactory. He said, do it. Then they show me another Gambian guy. Then they show me another guy from Ghana. That's how I built up the trust. Because I didn't want to do nothing here concerning a house. No, because I left here too long 45 years, whom I'm going to take to court here, because that's the procedure if you don't want to do it. So that's how I found out. I made up my mind. My people, they don't give you what you need and on time. My experience, I came first. I built a complete compound to my village. What I learned there, I have to buy stones, I have to buy sand, I have to beat blocks, I have to do everything. Jumbo Max, you don't have to. You pay the money, they give you the time to get your property. So no problem here. There I was having a problem if you want me to compare. Okay? I came back, I opened a company. That company, I have a lot of problems. But with Jumbo Max, no problem at all. When they put the foundation, every day when I go to my office in America, I go into the computer. If they put the beam, they tell you, today we put the beam. If they put the windows, they tell you, the day they finish, I know. When they left to paint the inside, but the time reached for me to come, I knew where they start, where they stop. Every blessed day, I just go one button, Jumbo Max, where are we? The computer, they tell me where they start, where are they doing today. I even see the people when they're working. So, no problem there at all. Up to date. The only way I'm going to sell here my kids when I'm dead, even I try to tell them, the one I'm leaving, nobody can sell it. I leave it for them, for my grandkids. I have 3 kids in America. They never been in Sierra Leone. All grown, one married. But my will, anything I do here, it stays here. I used to sleep in hotels. I never slept in anybody's house when I'm coming here. But now they are not. That's why I try to put everything a man needs. Water, light, even microwave, solar. My light is 24 hours so that they don't come and say, oh, daddy, we come into struggle. They need everything inside. So I don't plan to sell it myself. Only if I pass away, they decide to do it, it's up to them. Don't call a friend, don't call a relative. They will lie to you. Call who knows about Jumbo Max. If you want to call me, I'm free, 24 hours. And my experience, when they send you the plan for watch your computer, do it. Because they tell you where they start, where they're going, what they're doing. So nobody in Sierra Leone can do that. Because I have seen friends who send money here, they snap and send to them fake. But Jumbo Max don't fake. They tell you the truth. So I'm available. Or any other person. The only thing I don't know, I've been giving the website to a lot of people in America. So they have them. And Jumbo Max will send you the information.
Thank you, Mr. Khalil. Like I said, amazing story. So that video was produced in Freetown, I would say, I think in June this year, by my team of amazing storytellers. So they went to Newton and Mr. Khalil was in town and he shared his story with us. Now I would like to introduce you to Bob, who is the CEO and co-founder of Jumbo Max, to share the company's story with you. He is a former Peace Corps volunteer who, like many Peace Corps people, found themselves in West Africa and got the bug and is still with us. So Bob, why don't you tell us how you got from a great idea to where we are now with over 100 houses built across 3 countries in West Africa.
Great, thank you, Vickie, and thanks everybody for making time to show up and hear about the work that we're doing in West Africa, in Sierra Leone. We started in Guinea over 10 years ago, and I'm not going to claim that we are unique. People throw the word unique around a little too much, but I think one thing that makes us a little different from most of the other companies that you might think about talking to about building is that this whole West Africa real estate business was started to solve specifically the problem that people in the diaspora face when they're trying to build a home in West Africa, because this is a problem that my partner Jonathan and I noticed when we were in the Peace Corps together in Cote d'Ivoire. The homes that would get started, and then a year would go by, 2 years would go by, and there's no progress would be made. But also our other co-founding partner, Mamadi Doumbouya, who was from Guinea, had been trying to build a home on land that he owned in Guinea for 10 years and was making very little progress. And if any of you listening today have tried to manage a project like this remotely from outside of West Africa, you understand what those challenges are. But this is what we designed this company to do. Now we have learned a lot, and we have gotten into other businesses, and we are building now for local residents as well. But the very foundation of our company is really about solving a problem that folks in the diaspora have when it comes to finding good land and building a home back home. We are a highly trained team of managers who've studied business and studied the economies of West Africa and have worked in this region for a long time. My partner Mamadi passed away in 2018, so he's no longer with us, but Jonathan and I are the remaining co-founders. We are still very much engaged in this business, but we've also been fortunate to bring on a lot of people, a couple of whom you're going to hear from today. And then, of course, we have more people on the ground in Guinea and Sierra Leone than we have outside of the region. And we're very proud of the work that they are doing. We, from the beginning, have built the business on the notion that we don't need to send expensive expat managers from outside the region to run companies in the region. What we need to do is find good people locally, train them, support them, and then let them develop a business and run that business. And that's what we've done. We are 100% locally managed in our local offices, and 40% of our team in Guinea is women, which is something we're very proud of. It is an important part of our thinking about doing business in general to make space for women in the workplace, and to do that in the construction industry is particularly important, where it's one of those industries where women tend to be represented and not underrepresented, not just in West Africa, but around the world. But that's sort of who we are in terms of what motivates us. In terms of what we've accomplished since 2014, we've built over 100 homes. We expanded from Guinea to Sierra Leone and now to Ghana as well. And we have quite a range of offerings. We have sold homes for as little as $19,000, and we've sold homes for over $200,000. We have several floor plans that span that range between them. On average, our prices in recent years have been about $100,000. And we are a production home builder. We don't do custom design. We have a set number of floor plans that people can choose from. We do business that way because when we can work from designs that we already know how to build, it makes it much more straightforward to give you a clear price for that home, because we know what it costs to build that home. And our teams over time just get better and better and better at building those designs because they're not having to relearn a different process every time. So that's sort of our backstory. We are informed from our foundation by the perspective of a diaspora, a West African diasporan who was part of the co-founding team, and then from other people that had lived in the region and worked in the region for a long time. And we have, as we've brought new people into the business, of course, our local teams are all local and very much understand the local environment and the local context. But we also look for people on the global side of the business who have experience. So Anna, who you will hear from later, was also a Peace Corps volunteer in West Africa. Tinashe is from Southern Africa and supports our sales efforts from that part of the world. So we're fortunate to have a strong team that really understands the audience that we're trying to serve and the region that we're working in. This just summarizes some of our accomplishments. Sierra Leone is the market where we've done the most work on really affordable homes, like getting down to that $20,000 price point. For the local market, we'd love to be able to push down even further. It's just a matter of sort of finding the right process and materials mix, and of course land. Once you get down, when you're building $100,000, $200,000 homes, typically the land is not that big a part of the cost of that house. But as you push lower and lower into price points, land becomes an increasingly important constraint on how low you can go. And so we're constantly looking for opportunities to introduce lower pricing, particularly for local buyers, although those low cost homes are sometimes interesting for people in the diaspora as well. If you have family members locally that you want to provide housing for, or if you want to get into the business of renting in the local market, those can be interesting opportunities. In Ghana, we've done something new for us, which is build in a master planned community, which is where another larger developer has put in all the infrastructure, and then they sell off parcels to individual builders who come in, and you don't have to worry about putting in water or power or roads or any of that. You have a service plot and you build on that. That's in Ghana. That's different from how we build in Sierra Leone and Guinea, where typically we're just starting from scratch, building on greenfield developments and doing all the work ourselves. We do have a good partnership in Sierra Leone for water with a company that has a small solar-powered water treatment plant on site, and they service our community with prepaid metered water that is treated to WHO standards. So that's a good part of the solution there. We build as quickly as we can while maintaining quality. So depending on what home you're talking about, some of the smaller ones we can finish in as little as 6 months. Most of our models we can finish within 12 months, as long as we don't run into supply chain constraints or weather. This year has been a tough year for weather. The rains have been so heavy this year that has slowed some things down. But typically, if we don't run into those kinds of problems, we can build most of what we build in 12 months. The biggest homes we build can take a little bit longer. We can start construction with 30% deposit. And we do offer financing if you're buying a home on land that we own, up to 10 years. And in some cases, we've been able to push it even longer than 10 years. And that financing program is possible because we got involved in helping set up financing companies that go out and find investment from private investors and make that money available to our home buyers to be able to buy these homes. And that has made more than $5 million available to our buyers as buyer financing since 2017. And by the end of this year, that'll probably be over $6 million of financing that we've been able to offer to our home buyers. So we're proud of having been able to find a variety of solutions to help folks in the diaspora achieve their dream of home ownership. And we're excited to be in Sierra Leone. We love Newton, and we're also looking for opportunities to build in other parts of Sierra Leone. I think I'll stop there because there are other people who are more interesting than I that have things to say. You're on mute, Vickie.
I was going to say, yes, there are other people, but then you followed with who are more interesting. I was like, you know what? let me not say yes, yes, and then I'm telling clients, yes, yes, you're not interesting. No, you're very interesting, Bob. Everything you say, very interesting. But no, thank you. So I have another client who is an NGO who also was founded by a former Peace Corps volunteer. And personally, I really like Peace Corps people. I feel like when they come back, they have a certain understanding that they gain from living within the communities that they serve versus, usually what happens in the expatriate community where you're like very separate. And so designing programs and projects and businesses to meet the needs of people in communities where you've lived, I just feel like Peace Corps people have a leg up. That's me personally. People can't argue, but that's just what I believe. So thank you for your service. Thank you for your service. Okay, Bob. So next, of course, Joba Max is new in Sierra Leone, but there are other players in the market. So now I'd like to introduce you to a very, very good friend of mine, like one of my favorite people in Sierra Leone. I've known him for, gosh, this is not like an age thing. I've known him for over 20 years. Yes. 20 years. Bimbola Carroll is the founder of VSL Properties. He's a dedicated entrepreneur with a strong focus on Sierra Leone's travel and real estate market. As the founder of VSL Property, he brings years of experience and local knowledge to the industry, helping clients buy, sell, rent, and manage properties with confidence. His approach emphasizes transparency, quality service, and a deep understanding of Sierra Leone's property landscape. Hello, Bimbola. Are you there? I can see you, but Bimbola is also logging in from Sierra Leone, and I don't want to say anything bad about the internet situation in Sierra Leone, but it's going to require some patience for this to come through. I can see him in the backstage and he's frozen, so I'm just going to text him really quickly. He said light issue. Okay, so what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to move. He's working on that. So we're going to give him 1 second, but I can tell you just a little bit more about Bimbola while he's working on his light situation, which if you're from Freetown and other parts of West Africa, you understand. So I don't even have to be apologetic. It's just what it is. He'll log back on shortly. But anyway, so Bimbola, I first met Bimbola through his other business, which is VSL Travel, visit SierraLeone.org, where he helps everybody do things like airport transfers to renewing your passport to travel and tour experiences in Sierra Leone. In fact, many, many years ago when I was doing the Vickie Remoe show, we did a partnership where I got to visit Banana Island for the first time with him and VSL. And so I think he's back. Yes, there he goes. I was just telling them about that time we went to Banana Island. VSL and the Vickie Remoe show had that partnership. So thank you so much for joining us. How are you doing?
Doing good. Sorry, we got cut off because of...
Please don't apologize for electricity. Are you the electricity provider? No, you should not. Why should you be apologetic? You are just trying to survive like the rest.
You know how it is. It was right at the time as well when you were, doing the introduction.
Perfect timing. Perfect timing.
It was the worst time to embarrass you. Anyway, yeah. It's a pleasure.
No,
Thank you for the opportunity.
First of all, before we go any further, congratulations on 180 years of the Sierra Leone Grammar School. Is it 180?
In March. So today was the launch. The official launch.
The official launch of the celebration. Yeah. Congratulations. Shout out to all the Regentonians who are watching and joining us today. Best school, oldest school, everything. Ha, ha, ha. What? Until, of course, I'm with the Prince Williams, then I say something else. But for this moment,
what?
I can't be trusted. I'm sorry. No, best school, best people, etc. So Bimbola, you through VSL Properties, I know that over the years you've come across and been in contact with so many different people who want to sell land, people who want to buy land, people who want to list properties, rent, sell. You're basically in the mix. And I know that a big part of your customer base are people who are either returnees or people who are based in the diaspora. Tell me, Give me like a quick give us a quick overview of what VSL Properties does. What are some of the services that you offer, and what do people come to you? What problems do people come to VSL Property trying to solve?
Okay. Thanks for the introduction. If I just step back a little bit, so basically VSL Property more or less came from VSL. So VSL is a travel and tourism side. And basically what used to happen is we would work with companies and organizations, and they would have consultants coming, we'd put them in hotels. And then we realized that, you know, sometimes they're here for like months, and then they get sick of staying in a hotel, and they're like, look, we're looking for something a little bit more long-term. And that's basically how the VSL Property offshoot came about. So we mainly operate in the agency space. So connecting owners of properties and buyers or tenants. We also do a bit of property management for people who either might be in the diaspora or simply don't necessarily want to deal with clients directly. But we're also we're talking at the moment to start adding more services like home insurance, you know, offering people security services, cleaning services, and we're just looking to see how we can work with other providers so that we can make the experience seamless, both for landlords and also for, you know, tenants.
Okay. How has the market, I know you've been in it now for maybe close to a decade or more. I know VSL has been around for 20 years, but when did you start VSL Property?
So when I came back to Sierra Leone, which is longer than I would like to admit, so that would have been since around 2010-ish, is when we. But basically, it's been a love-hate. It's not an easy sector. I tend to choose them. So it's been a bit love-hate. Like we've concentrated on it, and then we've got frustrated and decided, look, let's focus on the tourism side. But seriously, we've been focusing on it now for, I would say, about 5 to 6 years.
Okay. How has the market changed from when you started? I know you said you fluctuated, but how has the real estate market changed or the business changed over time? What do you notice happening on the leasing side, on the listing side? Are the buyers changing? Are the listers changing? What's really changed in the last, I would say, 10 years or so?
I would say Freetown is running out of space. So, you know, so like maybe our parents or the generations before them, when they built houses, space was not at a premium. So you would have, you know, you walk into some properties and you're like, they really didn't think out, you know, the layout and how to make the best use of space. And so it's all Freetown. Your big 4 or 5 bedroom houses are now more high-rise apartments, for example. So apartments are becoming increasingly popular in Freetown. Also, quite a few, I guess, companies similar to Jumbo Max are in the market. That wasn't really the case a decade or so ago. Yeah, price-wise, you know, we came maybe a decade or so ago, the whole real estate thing in terms of being like for investment itself is relatively new and something that happened as a result of you know, the conflict. You know, when you had the UN people here, people realized that you could actually make a lot of money from property. And that's how people started going and, you know, leasing houses, and they were paying funny money. I'm not sure a lot of landlords have realized that time has passed.
Levels don't change, but they don't know. Are you still there? Oh, yes, you are. Okay. So what would you, I mean, the market's changed and
sorry, did you get, I think we got cut off a bit.
Yeah, we did. I think the last thing I heard you say was that the market has changed in terms, when the UN was in Sierra Leone, of course, they were willing and able to pay to rent houses at like maybe a premium. And even though the UN mission has closed, some landlords may not have necessarily revised their pricing for the new market conditions. And so maybe some of people still have those expectations, right? That if I'm building a house at X, I should still be able to sell it what it was like when the UN was here. Tell me about what you think the challenges are on the land buying or land selling side, because some of the stories that I've heard, and I'm sure you've heard and have to deal with, are just really insane. And
are you there?
Yes, can you hear me?
I can. Sorry, we got cut off.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry. No,
you're
okay.
saying that some landlords haven't quite realized that things have changed.
Yes, and I was asking about, not necessarily on the property side, but on the land side, what are some of the challenges that people face buying and selling land? I know for a fact that I know a lot of stories, but what are some of the things that you've experienced over the years or heard happening to people who are trying to buy land in Sierra Leone, especially people in the diaspora?
Well, we've had all sorts. I think, Freetown is littered with stories. And I say Freetown because, a lot of activity is still focused around the city. And it's also the only place in Sierra Leone that you can get like freehold, right? So it's in very, very high demand. And, the landscape of Freetown has changed significantly like over the last decade. So, land is in high demand, which also raises the price. The prices are quite high. But I think one of the biggest challenges with land is obviously, ensuring that your title is proper. So there are people who have bought land and, the next thing you know, somebody else is showing up and saying, that they own the same piece of property, and no one really wants to get stuck in the legal system here, because that can also take like 10 years or more just to get issues like that resolved, So I think it's mainly around ensuring that you, if you're buying land, that you have good and proper title,
How do you,
and that's,
what you think, I guess I'm just thinking, what do you think say people can do for ensure? Because this is why I asked that, is that like, for people who are in the diaspora who have never really, they don't understand, right? So for example, one me brother with the America tell me, say somebody wants to sell on land, the person like get the paper, but register by the Ministry of Lands. Say the person say now so all man they do. So let him buy the land, then he can go register. I say if I catch you.
Yeah, if you hear those stories, run as fast as you can. Because it's not a good place to start. In terms of ensuring title, you could do the groundwork. You can go to a Ministry of Lands. You can go to the to where they register land, royalty building. You do a trail, right? So you do almost like a paper trail. How's the property move from one person to the other? I would also be very careful of what is called community land, like own the community get on. So I'll be very careful of those. But also when you're buying, there are some there are some families that you can buy from that increases the chance that it's a proper title. And sometimes as well, that's why some people prefer buying property, because then it validates the land that it sits on most occasions. It's a bit, you just have to do the groundwork, and I think that's where the challenge is.
Yeah. So I was talking to my dad, and that's exactly what he said, that whenever he's buying land, he would only buy land, but from a certain kind of family that he knows is a land owning family, right? It's like some properties have been in families for generations and passed down. So you don't even have to ask who owns the land because it's obvious. Another tip that he gave was to go and see the land without the person who's trying to sell it to you, because usually the person who's selling it to you would take you there. And he said, go there where the posse not dey, ask the neighbor the way they around who that get the land. If more than one person say na 2-3 different people, then you know say because usually there's like community history, like, you know, people know, you know, the stories of places. It may not be written down, but that knowledge is available within the community. Okay, tell me about, so, you know, sometimes you were talking about like I don't want to say the absence of land, but like just that land is becoming more and more in demand in the city, in Freetown, right? Like specifically, it's just not available because places are overdeveloped. What do you think, for people who are in the diaspora, again, they're thinking, oh, if not to Abadim, if not to Moritong, you know, like people just have certain neighborhoods in their mind, and they feel like if it's not in that neighborhood, then it's not a good house or it's not a good property. Are you seeing that more and more people are willing, especially with the construction like of the Peninsula Road, are you finding that more and more people are developing properties beyond the like city center? Are people more open? Are there amenities? What's going on outside on the outskirts of Freetown?
So the Peninsula area, absolutely. I mean, that is the next, you know, if you own property in the Peninsula, now's the time to pay very close attention to it, because the road has just opened up that area like completely. And there are issues around that area too, you know, and I'm speaking from like personal experience, you know, where you have, anyway, there are issues around that area. If you
we got time, Imola, we got time.
You know, because it's highly desirable, and you know, obviously it's close to the touristic areas, close to the beaches. Yeah, and there is some space there, so it's in very high demand. In terms of also like where people want property, you know, most times it's also about just the infrastructure around, you know, areas that are a bit more developed, you know, in terms of roads, in terms of water, in terms of power, and also in terms of things that are around, you know, that particular area. That's why people most times want and prefer property in areas that are well established, you know. Otherwise it's hard. It's harder to build. You know, you see some houses and you wonder like, how did you even get stuff
up those hills,
up those hills. You know, you can get it done, but it's more expensive. So as a result, you know, people do prefer areas that maybe are a little bit more built up. You don't have to want to be the one that has to construct a road that everybody else then uses and, you know, damages. And anyway, so it's just proximity to all those things that I believe drives people to certain areas. So the wider point is we need to you know look beyond.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. So speaking of looking beyond, let's look to the future, right? So you're in this market, you've been in this market for some while. Are you optimistic about the future outlook of real estate and develop in Sierra Leone? Like, you know, based on what you've seen in the last 10 years and what's to come, how do you feel about it as somebody who's in the business? Should people in the diaspora, is this something they should be doing? Like, what are your thoughts? And of course, you know, you can say anything you want, you know, but I truly want to know, this is, do you feel like this is a market that's growing, that has opportunities? Is it getting better?
For residents or for commercial purposes?
Don't look off for long into the distance, or is that just frozen? Oh yeah, it was frozen. Okay.
Yeah. So in terms of, are you here? In terms of opportunities looking into the future, I think, you know, Sierra Leone has been, you know, growing somewhat, but, you know, at a relatively modest pace. And I think a lot rides on the amount of economic activity that we are able to generate as a country. You know, I think this sector is no different from any other sector, i.e., there's a lot of scope for growth. But it just depends on, whether, we have big companies coming to make investments that need places for their staff to stay, that need office blocks. If we're not able to bring in that sort of investment, yeah, we'll see growth, maybe not. It will be quite modest.
Sure. I guess you.
Having said that, I also believe that if you have a good property, right, that ticks a lot of boxes, not just in terms of infrastructure, but also the quality, because that's another issue. A lot of construction done here, the quality of materials that are available are not the best. So finished products are not the best. A lot of people rely on like local contractors, obviously, sometimes for cost reasons. And we found like the workmanship. I don't know what's happened to the workmanship here, but there's a lot of buildings. It may look like a beautiful 5-bedroom mansion, but when you go and pay attention to detail, then you start seeing like all the issues. But I think if you can develop a good quality property and be able to offer it at the right price, it will go.
Okay. Good to know.
It will definitely go.
Good to know. I'm not going to take up any more of your time, but thank you so much for sharing your expertise with us. For anybody who wants to, list, buy, sell, rent, land or property, I highly recommend Bimbala. And also, if your passport expires if your passport expires and you're outside of the country, visit Sierra Leone. Listen, sometimes Bimbala is all you got. So no, thank you so much for being a constant,
no worries.
reliable.
Yeah, so folks can check us online. It's vslproperty.com, and then we're also on all socials. Just drop us an email and we're happy to help.
vslproperty.com, correct?
Yeah, vslproperty.com.
There you go. So if you want to find out information about just see what's out there, land, property, et cetera, you can go to vslproperty.com. Bimbala Carol is also on all social media platforms as Bimbala. So you can always reach out to him. He's just really a great guy. Great guy. Great guy.
The check is in the post.
Yeah. You're welcome. You're welcome. Thanks, Bimbala. Have a good day.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate you. Thank you very much.
Okay, now let's go back to our conversation. Now, as you've heard, like a lot of the issues of property is with land. Again, this issue of how do you know the land you're buying hasn't already been sold? How do you know the person selling to you hasn't already sold the property before, right? That's one. The other thing is the quality of construction, that yes, it is possible a lot of times to get something built and on the outside it looks like a really nice house, but when you go in there, everything from the doors, the toilets, the tiles, the finishing is just not there. And if you're based in the US, a lot of times you can't be on sites. Most people who are building in Sierra Leone, they are on the site and on location every day. The amount of times I've heard someone say, I didn't go on sites. And you're like, site is a building site, but it's like site, they got to go see every single day just to make sure that things are done the right way. And even then, when you're there physically, it's still tough if you don't have the expertise. And then, of course, lastly, that space in Freetown in the center is not what it used to be, that people need to be open to going beyond the city limits. And one of the great things with Joba Max is that in Newton Springs, there is a partner for water. There is the partner for solar. So basically, even though we're out of the city, we've made sure that the community that we are building is a sustainable community that sets you up with water and light right from jump. So I'm going to introduce Tinashe Minyak Manika Tuyu, who is our customer service rep based in East Africa. However, you know, the world is global now. You can be anywhere and be anywhere. She's gonna take us through the offerings that JoboMax has.
Hello, everyone. I'm Tinashe, and I am part of the customer care team at JoboMax. And I just want to speak to you guys about our housing development in Sierra Leone. So we're in Freetown, and our first community in fast-growing Newton is planned as a cul-de-sac of 25 homes. Each of our 4 available housing models are designed by JoboMax Homes with exquisite attention to detail. These are homes that we've designed. These are homes that we know how to make, and that's what we have on offer in Sierra Leone. And we're in this place that's surrounded by palm trees, and this is a scenic community that is ready to welcome you into its happy family home. Family of homeowners. So I'm gonna go right ahead to speak to you guys about our models. So I'm gonna start with the biggest one. So we have the California Villa, and this home offers 4 bedrooms, 3.5 bathrooms, and 2 of the rooms have their own bathroom. You have 2 terraces, one at the top, one at the bottom. And this model has a large entertainment space for guests with the living room, dining, and kitchen. And then I'm going to move on to the Philadelphia Duplex, our second biggest home. This is a semi-detached 2-story home, which allows between 2 to 4 bedrooms, 1 or 2 living rooms, a kitchen, and a dining. And then there's an optional outdoor kitchen and separation wall in the luxe version. And then I'm going to move on to our Washington Villa. That's the one at the top right. And it's a standalone home, which offers 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, a living room, dining room, and kitchen. And then in the luxe version, it offers an annex, which includes a bedroom, a bathroom, and an outdoor kitchen. And then we have our smallest model, the London. It's a standalone home, which offers 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, an open plan living room, a dining, a kitchen. And then the luxe offers high-end finishes and some kitchen appliances. And yeah, these are the 4 models that we have. But we have a more budget-friendly option, which is the Richmond, where you, the homeowner, you can add the finishes. And, you know, one unfinished model starts at about $19,500 US. And yeah, these are the homes that we have on offer. And yeah, for more information, our contact details will be shared during the webinar. So yeah, thank you guys. Thank you for the opportunity to speak to you about our homes.
Thank you, Tinashe. We are now going to welcome Anna Straight, who is our Director of Operations in Sierra Leone. And Anna's going to take us through 2 options, right? We know that there are a lot of people in our community in Sierra Leone, in the diaspora, who already own land. And one question they always ask all the time is, what if I already own my own land? Can JoboMax build on my land? The answer is yes. And Anna's going to take you through what that looks like with JoboMax. And then she's going to present you our offer at Newton Springs and the financing options that we have when you choose to build within Newton Springs. One of the things that Bimbola did mention in his talk is that, yes, there are a lot of different real estate developers in Sierra Leone. However, JoboMax is right now the only developer that offers financing in this way for up to 10 years. So you don't have to have all the money, you know, up front to pay. You just need about a 30% deposit, a really good and healthy, I would say, based on the house that you want to buy. In the US, would say like a credit rating or inflow. The company just really wants to know that you are making the kind of money that you need to make for the house that you're going to buy, so that you can qualify for the right financing. Over to you, Anna.
Thanks. All right, so we've talked a little bit so far today about the funding options that are available in Sierra Leone. And unfortunately, a lot of the funding options are on you as the buyer. Can't really get mortgages through international banks. There's not really great options even in Freetown. And they have high interest rates, like 18%. You could save up all the money on your own. And that's not impossible. Probably the most common scenario I see that is somebody who has been saving up for retirement. They're ready to retire, so they have that savings ready to go. But if you're still working and traveling to Sierra Leone once or twice a year and don't want to have to stay in a hotel and want a safe place to take your kids to, you don't want to wait till retirement till you have all that amount. Some other options are if you build as you go, so you build and you pay as you go. And that's probably the most common route people take when funding a construction in Sierra Leone. The issue there is that leads to a lot more damage and theft to materials when you put the walls up and that's all you can pay for right then. And then it gets, you're not going to pay for security, or most people don't pay for security while they're waiting for that next 10 grand to come in to put a roof on. So could you go to the next slide, please? Personal loans are an option, although they can really mostly help with maybe $20,000, maybe a little bit more. And so this is a really big issue that, we've heard, that we know about, that we've tried to address by offering financing for up to 70%. And we have terms right now for about 10 to 15 years, meaning you could put 30% down before we start construction, and then you have 10 to 15 years to pay off the 70%. And I'll touch on how the details of that in a minute. And of course, many of you probably have land right now, and you're probably wondering, how can I get Jobo Max to build on your land? We absolutely can, especially if you have a beautiful piece of property down on the peninsula. And what we're offering is to build some of our models. So the California, the Washington, the London, the one nuance with the Philadelphia is because it is a townhouse with two sides, you would have to get both houses. There we go. You'd have to get both sides, which makes for really large property, but it does bring the price up a little bit. So here are just some requirements. We want the land to be flat. It has to be already gated. There has to be an accessible road up to about, I think we say 50 meters, so that construction vehicles can get in. You need to have a clean title and have a survey. And then probably one of the biggest differences between us building on your land and building in one of our developments in Newton Springs is the payments. So right now we cannot offer financing on your land. So we're looking for 50% upfront. We can certainly give you a couple months. I think we're giving up to 6 months to pay that 50% down payment. And then you would pay the rest during construction. So as you can see, it takes a little bit longer. Let's just estimate up to 1.5 years. You could pay the next 50%. So if you take the longest payment schedule right there, it would be 2 years. You would need to be able to pay everything. The advantages is there's no interest that we're charging. This is purely a cash deal with Jobo Max. So you're not going to have to pay any interest in that sense. But for a lot of people, this is a big roadblock because they were really relying on our financing. So it's just something to compare as to where you are financially and what you're looking for this property for. If you're looking for something down the road, you're not really going to use it right now, but you really want to have a reliable builder and you have a beautiful piece of property, then it might make more sense for you to save up to build on your land. And we will be there for when you're ready. If you're looking for something right now, if you're planning to retire right now, if you're travel to Sierra Leone a lot because you have a business there or you have family there and you need it now, building in Newton Springs and taking financing adds a lot of value to you because you can start to use your property now as you're continuing to make payments on it. So we can go over and see how you can get that financing. As I said, there's a 30% down payment. We do offer some different options on how to pay that 30% if you don't have that all ready to go. Our interest rate is 12 to 13%. The application process, so some people are wondering, oh, if they don't have good credit, we don't, which is an American thing mostly, we don't really look at the number in your credit score, but we look at the credit report. So we're looking for consistent payment history to people you owe money to. We're looking at your income and your expenses. So we're going to look at bank statements. And if you know that you can afford it, then you can send us the documents that show that to us, that show that you can pay the monthly payment. And again, there is a requirement to build in Newton Springs. This application process you'll do with myself or Tinashe probably, and we'll let you know if we need more documents. We'll know if we need more information. And as soon as your documents are submitted, we can actually get it approved in as little as 2 weeks if there's no further questions. Usually this process is done as you're making your down payment and before construction is started. So I think that's the overview of that financing and the application. The next couple steps, sorry. Once construction's completed, you do take the keys, do an inspection. That's really important. And you can move in and you will just keep making your financing payments until you've paid off the house. There's no prepayment penalty if you pay it off sooner. And as soon as it's paid off, that's when we transfer the land title to you. So we do hold on to that as the collateral during the financing. And we've had some customers already in Newton take their new land title. So I do believe it was freehold. I saw that question come up. In the Western area, you can have freehold of the land, and you just need to be a Sierra Leone citizen in order to do that. Once again, there's some of our models. I'll just give people a chance. Now that I went over the financing a bit, you can see the prices and maybe map out what 30% looks like. So on a Philadelphia standard, the down payment would be right around $30,000, and then your monthly payments during financing would be right around $1,000 US. And that's if a house is $100,000. So for the London standard, the London bungalow, that monthly payment would be right around $750 at today's current price. And the California Lukes, the monthly payment would be around $2,700 a month at today's current price. You're still muted, Vickie.
My bad. No, I said thank you so much for making that sound so easy. And because I know that a lot of people, when they think about financing, it just is the first thought is, oh my God, this is going to be so complicated. But everyone that's bought properties from Dribble Max, I remember last month we did our webinar for Guinea, And Marie Suma, who's, you know, Jobomax's first customer in Guinea, was saying that like she was shocked when she received it. There was no fine print, right? There was no like, oh, secret part, like, oh, if you don't read that, like no one is trying to like trip you up and get you to sign your life away. That on the company wants you to really understand what your options are, what you're getting into, because ultimately over time, that is how you'll make sure you have customers who are buying things they can afford, right? Like a product that's fit for the customer. So right now we have a question and answer portion. So if you have any questions about financing a home with Jobomax, Newton Springs, the property, Jobomax's first property in Sierra Leone, if you want to ask about the water, the energy, the roads, etc., what the overall plan is for the community, now is your chance to ask that. So if you pop your question in the comments, whether you're watching on Twitter, LinkedIn, or Facebook, Lansana Kaba has a question, and that is, what is the interest rate on the financing offered?
Our interest rate is 12% on most contracts that have a 10-year term. And then if we offer a 15-year term, sometimes that can be 13%.
Okay. And how does that compare with what you might know that local banks in Sierra Leone might do?
The best rate in Freetown is probably 18%. I saw that a couple years ago. I feel like in other countries in the region, there are some banks that have it at 13.5%. Okay. But 13.5 is probably the best case scenario, and it's still their application process is a lot more complicated and a lot more thorough, and it is what Marie Suma thought it would be. You know, like months of waiting, lots of documents, obscure requirements, things like that.
Right. And with Jobomax, if someone is ready today and you make that call today and you qualify and your basically your financials are in order, you can get approved in 2 weeks.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool. We have another question here from Imam Mahawa, and the question is about, is there a radius from Freetown or use for building on your land? Oh, I guess that's about, for the build your land option, is there a place regionally, how far out are you willing to go beyond Newton?
Yeah, so the prices that we quote for Newton Springs are applicable to build on your own land if it's in the Western area, if it's less than a 4% grade, and if it's already fenced. So that's the pricing that you can reference. If you're just outside the Western area, we would still like to have that talk with you and see if we'd be a good fit. It obviously influences the cost of construction because we have to ship materials a little bit farther. We also need to have constant supervision of the project. And so we're getting skilled engineers that are in Freetown that need to travel farther each day. So, and skilled contractors too. So, you know, we talked about earlier how it's a little bit hard to find skilled workers. And they exist there. They can still be hard to find. They exist there, but then it really comes down to supervision, because you could hire the same contractors that we use and to build on your land and just, you know, let them run loose, and you're not going to get the same quality construction without supervision. So all of these factors, you know, security on site for materials, supervision, shipping materials. That's why if you're outside of the Western area, it's going to increase the price. So again, something we can definitely still have that conversation about, but we're only quoting price is inside the Western area for the moment.
Sure. Gotcha. Okay. There's a question about, I think it's the duplex. Is that the Philadelphia? Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Could they be sold to two separate individuals?
Absolutely. in our land, you usually sell them separately because they are separate units, and it's just when you're building on your land that we can't only build half of it.
Right. Land, of course.
Yes. And we do actually have a finished Philadelphia standard available for sale right now in Newton Springs. The asking price is $107,000, and it's a 3-bedroom layout. With the Philadelphia, there's a couple different layouts. This one is 3 bedrooms, has a balcony, a outside toilet, and there might be an outside storage area as well. I have to check on that, but that is available right now, and anyone can go and tour it.
I just saw a question that I'm going to pop up just because I've seen this too. And this is about that the model that the company offers in Ghana is a little bit more sexy with the white exterior than in Sierra Leone. Why are the models looking a little different from the Ghana offerings? And if somebody wanted the Ghana version, could they get it in Sierra Leone? That's me adding my own in the mix.
Yeah. So the reason why it's different at all is it's just kind of some of the bureaucracy in Ghana. You have to, in order to, we're building there now, as some may know. And in order to get a permit, you do need to have the plans done and signed and stamped by a Ghanaian architect. So basically we had to redo our Philadelphia plans.
Okay.
There is also a different market in Ghana, and that kind of matches the style and the expectations of Apollonia City, where we're building, which is a big planned development. So those are kind of some of the reasons why we changed it. It's not because we like Ghana more or anything. It's just because they made us change it. We absolutely can build that in Sierra Leone. It doesn't really, we don't have any examples of it. We have examples of our Philadelphia, which we've built 20, 30 times in Guinea, and our same engineers are overseeing our project in Newton. So we have the model, we have the plans. There's no reason why we can't build it in Sierra Leone. If that's what you want, give us a call and we can talk about that.
Sure. Okay. There's a question about, do you build customized homes? And we already know the answer of that is no, that the homes that Jobo Max builds are Jobo Max designed homes, right? You're not building other designs.
I was actually really hoping somebody would ask this question today.
Okay.
So we talk to thousands of diaspora buyers, West African diaspora, every month. We talk to people, we try to listen to what they want. We focus our models and our products off of what people want. What we try to do by having model homes is, one, we're offering a higher quality because our engineers are experienced with it. They are able to build it more efficiently because, again, they have experience with it. But also we're trying to save buyers $10,000, $20,000, $50,000 of design costs, because the floor plan, you can get somebody on Fiverr, Upwork to do that for a couple $100. But when it comes down to good architectural plans that then a supervisor and an engineer and a project manager can follow when it comes to foundation, plumbing, evacuation, electricity, all of those plans, that's where it gets expensive to get those good plans. So we're trying to make these houses more affordable, make the home buying process easier and more affordable for every buyer. So we've tried to design houses based off of, price ranges that we've heard from people, budgets, and then style and finishes that people seem to like. So we're open to building a custom house for the right buyer, but that does require a lot of funds for you to have ready because we can't offer financing, and the design cost is going to be quite expensive. So yeah.
Someone wants to know, do the houses come furnished, or is that something the homeowner does?
So we don't put things like beds or couches or tables, that type of furnishing. But we do furnish the kitchens in the Luxe models. So if you remember seeing on the price, the models and the pricing, there was a standard and there was a Luxe. The Luxe comes with a handful of extra finishes, including air conditioning, kitchen cabinets, a fridge, oven, a microwave. Some of the units come with built-in closets. Some of the models come with built-in closets. I think that's all the big furnishing. Some people ask us to add in like a washing machine. I think the washing machine is included in the California, but it is not typically included in the other models. So that's the level of furnishes we do. And that's what we specialized in and what we're good at.
Okay. And Christiana Harding wants to know if they wanted to, like, say, add one more bedroom to something like the London Villa, how would that affect the pricing and I guess ultimately the mortgage? Is that something that's possible?
With the London, it would be kind of tricky because we can make some small changes sometimes to the interior of houses. I helped design the London model myself, so I know that there's not really much space to add another bedroom on the inside. And I think the best way to do that would be to add like a boys' quarter, an annex, and have an extra bedroom. Off the top of my head, I would say that that would be maybe around $13,000. So you'd be adding, if you added that to your whole financing and everything, that would add about $130 to your mortgage every month, assuming you paid 30% and everything. We can't do that on every parcel in Newton Springs. So if that is something that is make or break for you, let me know so we can give you the one parcel that I think that would work on.
Sure. Lance and Akaba wanted you to talk a little bit more about the water supply and the solar partners. And does this mean that the location of your buildings is Freetown? Well, Newton, well, first of all, Newton is not in Freetown. So, and Newton, I don't believe is currently serviced by EDSA, correct? I don't think so.
Correct.
There's no EDSA.
Yeah, there's no. So we work with Water 4. They are a great organization that does a lot of work around the region. They have installed the whole water system. So the well, the pump, the solar powered pump, the water treatment system and everything. And they also will add a meter to your house and connect to your house. So they'll meet you when you come to take your keys. So that you are like, they'll show you how to like top it up. You can pay for it by mobile money. So I've heard that it's great water pressure and very simple to use as far as the meters go and everything. Solar, our customers have worked with Easy Solar in the past. We don't work with them directly. I do think it's best for you to have a direct, like we don't get in the middle of that. That's directly between the customer to Easy Solar, because unfortunately what happens a lot with solar installations on roofs, there's leaks. So you want to make sure that you get them to come back and fix that if that happens.
I see.
Yeah, it can be a little
the solar isn't. So the water is with a partner and that's installed for everybody, but the electricity, you guys just will kind of like say, hey, here are the different solar providers that you can use to electrify your property, but it's not you're not providing it yourself. You're just connecting them to the buyer. So if that's something they want to install, they can do, correct?
Right. And the houses are like equipped for a grid connection if it ever shows up, solar or generators. So it does depend on what you plan on doing in the next like 3 to 5 years with your house. Is it just like visits once or twice a year? I think that a generator is more cost effective. Sure. This is my personal like recommendation I give to customers. And if they're planning on living there full time, I do think solar is better for those situations. But it is a big investment up front. So sometimes people aren't ready to put that down, especially after they just put a 30% down payment on the house. So yeah,
understandable. And Ronald had a couple questions about road in the community, street lamps, trees, garbage collection, etc.
So one of the roads, I wish I had the site map for Newton. So there's 2 roads in our development. One is a cul-de-sac, and that's servicing all the Philadelphia, Washington, and California models. That road will be paved, and there's an opportunity for homeowners to like put a fence on, a gate on the front of it. But I would recommend that the buyers or like the homeowner society is paying for security if they wanted to put a gate on. The other road that is mostly servicing the London models, that will be a dirt road, but same thing. It's like it's a one-way road. Or a 1-lane road. It's just a driveway basically. So that could similarly have a gate as well. Street lamps. There are street lamps on the walls, like by the gates of everybody's property. They belong to the homeowner. So if the bulbs die and you want your street to be lit, just swap the bulb out. And it also helps with security, when you have street lights and things.
Right. There is that video on the Jibba Max Homes website that shows the community. I just want to show it really quickly while you're talking so that people can see what you are talking about. Just be patient with me. It's going to do can you see, Anna, can you see it?
Yes, I can see it.
Okay.
Ronald was also asking about trees,
so you can,
and garbage collection. We do plant like baby trees and plants in each yard. It comes with a landscaping package, so it's slightly different if you get a standard versus a luxe. Garbage collection is not something that Jibba Max offers. But I think we'll be talking with VSL Properties about coming in and offering some property management services to our customers in Newton.
Sure. I just wanted to show that really quickly. Okay. Are there any other questions? We're just about wrapping up. Someone is asking about, and I don't know if you know about this, but property rate tax in Sierra Leone.
Yeah, we get this question sometimes. We are not aware of or ever heard of currently property taxes in Sierra Leone. We do not know. We are not in control of the government, and if they choose to start charging property taxes, I can say that the customer that we have transferred the title to, her fees for title transfer were maybe like $1,200 or $1,300 total. That again could change, but if you buy a house tomorrow, there's a very good chance that that's the rate that you will pay.
So I'm just sharing. I know that Freetown City Council, so like the city of Freetown, at some point, I know that city of Freetown collects property tax. I don't know what the situation is in Newton because it's outside of the city.
It's in Waterloo City.
Exactly. So so that might be something to check with the Western Area Rural City Council. I don't know if they have a city. I don't know what it's called. But basically, Western Area is separated into Western Area Urban and Western Area Rural. So to understand what your tax obligations are for Western Area Rural, you would need to check directly with that municipality, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. How much do the roads handle during the rain? I feel like this one is a toss-up depending on, you know, how much rain comes, but
yeah.
yeah.
Because we have a plan for the neighborhood, but of course, there's the entrance road, which I think takes 5 to 10 minutes by car. And it's your average dirt road in the western area of Sierra Leone. So it is not, I don't want to paint a rosy picture of it. It's a dirt road. But
we know, girl. We know.
But what I can say is that part of our plan for the development does include drains on the sides of the road and like a sewage system for rain runoff to leave the neighborhood out back behind into the spring that's back there. So we're trying our best to avoid your courtyard from being flooded during the rainy season, because that's what we can control through drainage systems. The houses have septic tanks, individual septic tanks for the sewage system question.
Okay, awesome. Are there any other questions? Before we, if there are any other questions, please put them in. I just wanted to share the offer for everybody who's on this call. Let's see. Sometimes after I've been driving the presentation for a while, I kind of get lost. Okay, maybe I need to remove you, Anna, and add the. Oh, wait, why? Sorry about that. I have to add it to the stage. Of course I did. So today's offer to everybody who's watching is, I should take that off, is that if you're watching this live stream and you've joined us today and you're interested in starting your home buyer journey with JobaMax, all of today's webinar attendees get $1,000 off their down payment towards their first JobaMax home. So that means that if your 30% down payment is $30,000, you will only pay $29,000. You can also see the JobaMax number on. So this is a phone number. It's not the same as a WhatsApp. So the 224 number on here is the WhatsApp number, and the 215 number, that's for those of you who are stateside or in the US, in Europe or in the UK, who want to call and talk to somebody in our headquarters in Philadelphia, that would be the number to call. So yeah, also, and this is a question that I get asked often is, does JobaMax only build for people who are living in the US diaspora? And of course, the answer to that is no. It doesn't matter where you live in the diaspora. You can even live in Sierra Leone, you can live in God. It doesn't matter where you live. What really matters is that you can show in your financials that you have a way to basically show what you're earning every month, how often, et cetera, et cetera. So then you can be rated, I guess, internally to see if you're financing eligible. Correct, Anna?
Yes. There's not a restriction.
Sure.
As long as you meet our requirements, you can meet our requirements.
Okay, and then the Richmond development, will they be within the same location, correct? Everything is in Newton Springs, no matter what your design is.
It is in Newton. You can see it from, you can see the land from Newton Springs, but it's on the entrance road, actually.
Okay, so it's not within the same development, but it's near. It's within Newton.
Yeah, it's right in the same area, so you'll get the same community feel. There is water connection. It does come from a different source. it was still Water 4 who built that water system as well. Actually, it's just different source.
Okay. And the last question is someone's asking about the mortgage payment. So I think the thing to understand is that this is not a mortgage, but financing. Could you talk about what a mortgage is and how this is not a mortgage and how it works?
Yeah, so a mortgage is through a bank, I think is the biggest difference. And we, for a lot of reasons, some mostly legal, and not mostly legal. One of them is legal. Also, just philosophically, we are not a bank. We are a construction company that partners with two financing companies. That is Diaspora Funding Partners and U.S. Africa Housing Finance. So it is those two companies that have access to these funds that allow our buyers to finance their homes. But they are not banks either. And that's why the interest rate is a lot different than what you might get with a mortgage. Just the money is coming from a completely different place.
Sure. Okay. Thank you so much. I don't think I see any more questions. In that case, Anna, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you everyone for joining us. I can see that there are over 180 people on this call. That's amazing. And all of you stuck through, which means you love me. You really, really love me. Or you really want your dream home. Whatever your reason is, thank you so much for tuning in today. We try to do these calls weekly. So, and in each time we try to bring you experts who understand the local market to really help educate you so that you can make an informed decision. Ultimately, we want you to get your dream home. We would like for it to be with Joba Max, but if it isn't, that's okay. As long as you have the information, you can make the best choice for you. Again, the number to call for Joba Max is 215-253-3691, or you can visit us at jobamax.com. When you go to the Joba Max website, it might look Africa-Housing, I believe. That's because when Joba Max was first founded, that was the company's name. So Africa Housing, you'll see that a lot. But if you go to jobamax.com, you'll see it. If you Google it, you'll see it. You can also find a lot of video and visual resources on YouTube on the Joba Max YouTube channel. And if you have any questions, feel free to ask me in my inbox. I know some of you have already asked me on WhatsApp, which is fine. But definitely contact Tinashe, who I want to show you her contact information. There you go. Who leads customer care at Joba Max. You can take a I look forward to seeing you guys again here or offline. So thank you so much. Have a great evening. Bye.